Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I use this channel to share information I've learned in life, go over reviews, and discuss personal finance topics. I also do personal finance coaching on the side, so if you're interested in that, leave a comment below and we can set up an initial free session to discuss your goals, what you're looking for, and I'll discuss my services with you and we'll see if it's a good fit for both of us. Today I'll be starting a series where I'll be utilizing the wheel strategy in my Roth IRA. Obviously, each piece of this is pretty complex. And there are plenty of resources on YouTube and the internet in general to look this information up. If you are interested in me going over any of the specific terminology or topics that I'm talking about, leave a comment down below. And if there's enough interest, I'll definitely be interested in creating a video to go over that specific topic you're looking for. My goal is basically to help share some of the knowledge I've gained and some of the experiences I've gone through in my learning process. If I covered all the topics in detail, it'd be like an 8-hour video, and who wants to watch an 8-hour video? So my purpose with this series is twofold. First, it's to make people aware of some of the possible strategies that you can do in an IRA, and then also talk about what you can do with some options, specifically the will strategy. The other purpose is to help me keep track of how my funds are doing, how my process is doing, and at the end of the 6-month or year window that I go through, determine if it's worth my time and effort to do it or not. I think it will be. What little I've seen of people doing it online seems like it can be beneficial if you know what you're doing. So hopefully we'll be able to take a look at that over time and see if it's something that I like, and maybe it's something you'll enjoy as well. I'm not a get rich quick person, so this isn't a quick way to become a millionaire or anything like that. I'm more methodical and somewhat conservative in a lot of my investing strategies. So if you're looking to be a millionaire tomorrow, this is not the channel or process you should use. But if you're open to different techniques that, have a decent amount of risk and return, and you're comfortable with that amount of risk and return, this might be useful for you. I try to go over pros and cons whenever I'm talking about anything. I'll probably talk about most of those towards the end. I also need to say that this is not financial advice. This is just me expressing my opinions and thoughts and sharing my process. I'm not asking anyone to follow this. And do your own research, learn before you actually start investing with any of these types of strategies. And you definitely want to have a good foundational level of knowledge on options before you start doing anything in your retirement account, for sure. So before I get started, if you could, please like the video if you enjoy the content. And if you think you might be interested in more, please subscribe. That helps out small channels like mine. Having said all that, let's get started. So first, let's go over the objectives. And the objective for this one is just determine if the will strategy is beneficial to the Roth IRA account, mostly taking advantage of the tax-free benefits of it. If you're doing the will strategy, you're going to have taxes, and you're typically going to use short-term capital gains tax on the premiums. And then if you actually get assigned and sell the covered call, then you would have taxes on that. But because we're dealing with the Roth IRA account, there are no taxes on any of that. So that's a huge benefit. There are going to be possible trading fees. So whatever your brokerage is, you need to know what fees they charge and beware of whatever taxes if you're not doing this in a Roth IRA account. So the general process is I'm going to be selling some of my VFIX. It's an index fund for the S&P 500, enough to get cash to do a cash secure put, CSP, of VOO, and VOO is nothing more than the ETF for VFIX, which covers the S&P 500. So I'm going to sell what I have, some money in my VFIX, use that money for my cash secure put, sell cash secure put, it gets assigned. Then I'm going to sell covered call, which is abbreviated CC. And then once that covered call, if and when it does get assigned, sell it. Then I would go back to step one essentially and sell another cash secure put and rinse and repeat. Basically, that's the wheel strategy. The rules I'm going to go by, I'm going to change these if I need to based on how this is going along, but it's important that you have some rules to start with. We're going to start with a cash secure put. Not everybody starts with that. Some people just want to start by buying the 100 shares automatically, but I prefer doing the cash secure put first. Whenever I have the stock, I've been assigned it with the cash secure put, I'm going to do the covered call with the delta of around 30%, and I'm doing that because I don't really want to be assigned. I may go lower than that as time goes on, but we'll start with the 30 and see how that goes. Rolling down on the option will only be done if it's either going to make me money or I could potentially lose a lot of money, then I might be doing a rolling down of the option, but we'll see. I'll try to minimize that. I will try to have the stock, whenever it does the dividends, pays out the dividends, I'll try to have that in my account so I get those dividends. That's pretty significant. And I'm just, at the most hoping for 1 to 2% return, but I think I'll get a lot more than that. But if I got 1 or 2% more than what I would get normally, I'd be pretty happy with that. And if nothing else, at the 6 and 1 year point, I'll do a checkup basically, and I'll probably do videos as I go along, and then at 6 and 1 year I'll do a little bit longer one to make a decision probably. I'll make sure never to panic buy or sell. This is super important, and when you first start doing stocks and options, that's something you've really got to get a hold of and control of, is when the market changes or your stock changes price, to not do a panic sell or buy. And for at least the first year, I'm going to stick with VOO. In the future, I might do other stocks, but I'm going to start with VOO. So this is the initial spreadsheet. This may change over time. I'll probably go to Google Docs after a while. I just wanted to do something to get started. I started all this on October the 4th of 2022, and this is my VFIAX account, and I sold 35,000 worth, which is roughly at the time 100.057 shares, which was a stock price of $349.80. I sold the stock about 100. I've put taxes here in case, if you do this in a taxable account. And then once I had that money, which took a day to get, then I sold a cash secure put for VOO. I sold it for a strike price of $340. I did what they call a sell to open on the cash secure put. CSP is cash secure put. I'm only doing one contract, and my expiration date was October 21st, 2022. And for VOO, this is a monthly. A premium of, I actually got a premium of $690, but with Vanguard, there's a $1 fee for trading option calls. So whatever your brokerage is, you need to be aware of what that fee is. No taxes on it. The return on capital using the math that I use is 2%, and that when you work out the days till expiration, it's an annualized return of 44.29%, so pretty happy with that. Then the actual price changed quite a bit, and I wanted to make sure, I really wanted this cash secure put to go through. I wanted to pay less than what it was worth, and you can see it was $349, but I wanted to make sure it went through. I knew the stock was going to go down. I just didn't know if it was going to go less than 340. So I went ahead and I actually, on the same day, I actually bought to close that same cash secure put, which this is the number one thing probably you need to know if you start doing options, is how to roll out of the option, if you need to roll up, roll down, or just close it out. Definitely need to learn the sell to open, buy to close, buy to open, sell to close, those terms you need to know. So I bought to close, and I had to pay, because I'm buying to close it, I had to pay $598.99. That's including the $1 fee for trading. And then I rolled it, so I actually went from a 340 strike price to 345. I sold to open that cash secure put. These are the same expiration date because it's a monthly, October 21st, and I got $521. So all in all, this whole process here cost me $611. I made $611 from this process. And this time it was return on capital 1.51, and then a ROI, annualized ROI of 33%. This is mostly used for cash secured puts to figure out if it's a good rate. Typically, I think 1 to 5% is pretty good here, and then obviously for me, anything 20 to 50% is pretty good. So pretty happy with these. And then I went ahead and added here, and I'll go through the process where I did this. I actually got assigned. Let's see, the price of it on Friday at close was $343.90, and the strike price was $345, so it was in the money. It actually got assigned on Saturday. I got the message, so I ended up having to buy 100 shares at $345 a share, which is what I wanted to happen, although I'd be okay if it didn't, but I kind of wanted the shares, so it still worked out for me. Either way, I was going to be happy with it. Probably on the 24th, I'm going to wait a little bit to actually do the transaction, because your options don't actually go through for the first probably 5 to 20 minutes, because the stocks have to start trading first. And then once all that goes through, then the options start going through. So you don't want to trade your option right away. You want to give the market time to settle a little bit before you start doing it. So I'm not going to trade this right away. I'll have to see where VOO is, but I'm probably going to go with the 360 strike price. And to demonstrate how I chose that, I'm going to use Street Smart Edge, which is actually a Charles Schwab application. There's different software that you can do for free, and it's somewhat similar. You can look around to see what you want to do. But for me, I'm going to be looking at this right here. This is one of the many widgets. This one basically you can do calls and puts and everything else, but I'm specifically looking for the call. The 1021 is over with. The next call, I'm only going to do monthlies, and I'm probably not going to go far ahead because I want to keep better track of it. So I'm going to go out to November 18th. For the strike price, I want to look down here. These are my different strike prices. It's 345-ish right now, 343.90. For this, one of the values is delta. So you can get a lot of these numbers off anything on the web, but only certain things provide delta. You do want delta. Depending on what you're buying, you may want to look at IV2, implied volatility. Not a big deal for VOO as much as individual stocks. Individual stocks, they can vary quite a bit. This has a huge impact on the price of the option, but for VOO, I need to be aware of it, but not as focused on it. I'm mostly focused on the delta. And I said I want to start with 30. So if we'll look down here, 0.29 would be pretty close to 30. If I want to be more conservative, I could go to 22, 0.22. There's a difference of, I kind of look in the average to get a good idea. This is the bid-ask spread. It can be quite a bit. You're actually going to be putting it in for the ask price, but I usually just look at the middle range because I may have to modify it to change what I'm going to bid for it. So looking at these, the 30% is 4.50, and the 22% is 3.20. I'm going to go ahead and do the 30% for now. In the future, that may change. So this is the 360 strike price, and I'm actually going to use this ask price for what I want to use. So now I'm going to go to my brokerage. Let me sign into that. Unfortunately, Vanguard is probably one of the worst applications for trading options. I'm just using it just to do this wheel strategy, so it'll work. If I was doing it with more stocks, I might consider, I don't know, moving my part of my IRA somewhere else or something. But this actually does show my brokerage account information, so I'm just going to talk through it. Actually, I'll do a screenshot of part of it. So you have to have covered calls. You have to have that amount in that stock in your account. You can't do naked covered calls with your Roth IRA. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in all these options so I can do a screenshot of this. And I said I want to do 460, and I'm going to do good till close, and then I'll just do a screenshot of everything but my account information. I went through and I filled out I wanted to do a call. It popped up the underlying security, and I had VOO, so it gave me that choice. I chose the 1118. I want to do the next available, and then the 360 we determined from whatever tool you want to use. I did a 30 delta. You can do a lower delta or higher delta. If you just want more premiums, you can do that. But I want to own the stock as long as I can. I'm okay if it gets called away, but I prefer to keep it. That way I get the dividends if they come in. And then I mentioned before, it's $1 commission on your options, so that makes it $4.59. So going back to our spreadsheet, there's a $4.59 here. So all in all, if I combine all of this, I'm up $10.70, which is pretty good. So I've made $10.70 just by doing this. This page is where I'll be tracking the overall results. It may change over time. So on these first two lines, it's the VFIAX. So on 1021, the price was $346.53 a share. And if I held onto it, it would be $34,672.75. And I compare that to what it was originally, which was $35,000, and it's basically lost 0.93%. And then on these two lines is what I'm doing with the wheel, and we can see that on 1021 the stock price was $343.90. I'm including with this the covered call if I do it at the $4.59 rate. So with all of that, that's $1069.90 in premium. roughly. I mean, that might change a little bit depending on what the market does. And then I combine that with the actual value of VOO. I did have to buy it for $34,500, but right now it's $35,390 is the value of it, which does a combined of $35,459.90, which you compare that to $35,000 and it's a return of 1.31%. And then on 1021, if we did nothing, we would be down 0.93. And then assuming I get this covered call on Monday, I'll update it. I may do an updated episode once I do the covered call, but that gives me a gain of 1.31%, which an overall gain of 2% basically. So pretty happy with that. And just to cover what VOO is, so VOO is just the index fund Admiral shares. It's just mutual funds. That's an index fund. If you don't know what index funds are, definitely recommend looking into that. I have a video on it on my channel as well. But this is what I had in one of the funds I have in my IRA. And low expense ratio, it's the S&P 500, and then I'm just converting it to VOO, so I'm buying the same thing, it's just an ETF, and that's because for calls, puts and calls options, you can't do that on a mutual fund, you have to do it on an ETF, so that's why I did the sale, is convert it from the mutual fund into an ETF. Now I can do my covered calls. Hope this is useful. If you guys find it useful, please like. If you want more content, please subscribe. And any other like specific topics, more information you'd like to see, questions you have on my process, anything like that, leave them down below and I'll respond to you. And thanks for joining and hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.